Prevailing wage laws are laws that affect largely government contractors, and they mean that the workers in a given geographic region, usually a state, have to be paid a certain amount that is considered the prevailing wage of that state. The reason being to prevent the state from shipping in workers to work at a very low cost, or having a big project that they can promise a lot of work on, but then only pay a very low wage for that work. It's essentially like a minimum wage per project. A lot of these laws got repealed, including in Michigan, and now we have a report on what the effects of that were. And it's every bit as brutal as you'd imagine. Let's have a look at the article. This is from Business Insider. It turns out that getting rid of some minimum wage controls left workers earning less, being less productive, relying more on public assistance, and even facing a higher risk of dying on the job. That's according to a new study from the Illinois Economic Policy Institute and Project for Middle Class Renewal at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. Researchers Frank Manzo, Robert Bruno, and Larissa Petrucci examined the impact of repealing prevailing wage laws that essentially set minimum wages for construction workers on government contracts. Bear in mind, you're working on the roads, odds are you're working on a government contract, so most road workers. With the bipartisan infrastructure pouring billions of dollars into construction projects across the nation, the findings show that contractors in states that have repealed those prevailing wage laws may face problems staffing up, no duh. Historically, prevailing wage laws have helped plug labor shortages, as in if you pay people a decent wage, they will take a job. And contractors could have trouble competing with higher-paying competitors across the country. Here are the states, if you live in them. Make a note. Indiana, West Virginia, Kentucky, Arkansas, Wisconsin, and Michigan, to my shame, all repealed their prevailing wage laws between 2015 and 2018. Good news in Michigan, they are working on repealing the repeal. Using data from the U.S. Census Bureau and Department of Labor, the researchers looked at how construction workers fared as those laws were rolled back. It is, folks, exactly what you'd imagine. Those states saw their wages for construction workers drop, as in poorer people now in their state. In Indiana, West Virginia, and Kentucky, the three states that fully repealed prevailing wage laws, average construction hourly wages were $23.94 before the laws were rolled back, and by 2017, the average hourly wage was $23.77. Their wages overall dropped. Meanwhile, states with the laws in place saw wages grow by 12.2% in the same period. They're making 12.2% less. What prevailing wage does, it kind of standardizes and stabilizes the industry of a local market, Petrucci said. When you repeal that, what you have is contractors who are able to undercut wages and pay workers far below the training that they have developed to get these kinds of jobs. Naturally, you're going to see wages decrease. Workers' productivity grew at a far slower rate than in states with prevailing wage rates in place, as did hours worked. Just across the board, a worse job being done. We haven't even gotten to, we'll get there in a second, the quality of work. There's also a real human cost to repealing the laws. On-the-job fatality rates went up in states that fully repealed their laws. In states that kept the laws, fatality rates on the job actually went down. Some of that is due to training or lack thereof, according to Manzo, and experience. It's also according to experience. Better trained workers tend to be much safer, he said. Well, there you go. Prevailing wage attracts and develops skilled construction workers by including apprenticeship training contributions in with labor cost. Sure. Absolutely. And think about the cascading effect that has. So as they said, you're paying insufficient wage, you're going to have a labor shortage on top of a skills shortage. If you are a skilled road worker of some sort, you are simply going to go wherever you get paid for your skills, unless you are forced to stay locally for some reason, family obligation, yada, yada. You're going to go where the money is. It's going to leave us with inexperienced road workers, new road workers, and not enough of them. So you'll have overworked. Those that have experience that stay behind, they're going to be overworked. they're going to be working with a bunch of new guys. You're going to have mistakes from rushing, as well as mistakes from rushing then, as well as mistakes from newbies, as well as mistakes from newbies rushing to try to get a job done. How quality is that road being worked on? How reliable is that bridge that was built? Less than in states that had prevailing wage laws. The farther down you get, starts with that really fascinating Jordan Klepper interview. And let's see these ladies say crazy things. Yeah. And because they don't live in reality, they give us what? Marjorie Taylor Greene in office. Gets a little more boring. It's something that happened behind the scenes. It's a motion to disband this committee or that. A little more boring, but that's where the death blow is. The bleeding out is what we just read. Things like prevailing wage laws getting taken away. Very boring. Bunch of words, charts, graphs, year-over-year growth. But if you wonder what it looks like when America is governed badly, how it starts when the decisions are made, what the consequences are, there's your chain of events right there. I've been watching it happen over and over. It seems silly to say it's Republicans. Truth be told, it's not just Republicans. There's corruption with Democrats. There are poor decisions made here and there. But by and large, that is the element of our society that is bringing about the worst of the country's decay. Because insane decisions are made like this constantly. What can you do about it? Well, when you are writing your representative, just to let them know you're still watching. If you're from one of those states, tell them you want prevailing wage laws. There is a link in the description which tells you everybody who represents you. Find the people who represent you on a state level using that link. Tell them you want prevailing wage laws restored. You can cite this article from Business Insider. You can cite the study it links to. That is a great way to get your state back on track. It's not sensational. It's a regulation that insists workers get paid a fair amount. But I'll tell you, you'll have better roads, better workers, happier workers. You'll have more people with money in their pockets. This is the boring stuff that we have to get passionate about because it really does have an effect on how our lives are lived. Let me know if you think we should do a show that focuses on viewer comments from the Wicked community. I like the idea, but I don't want to put you on the spot if it seems like something that would be not fun for you. This has been WYCD Wicked. That stands for what you can do. I'll see you next time.